Can I start, Presiding Officer, by agreeing with the opening remark of Gavin Brown? He said there is a long way to go. But one of the difficulties in setting out on a journey is that you need a road upon which to travel. And if you cut capital spending, that road is simply not being built. And that's what the Conservatives have inflicted upon us. But I also want to congratulate the Conservatives on something, exploiting a Scottish invention to a degree previously unthought of. Scotland invented the overdraft, and the Tories, boy, are they exploiting the overdraft. I think we've moved from overdraft to credit card, as we've seen the credit rating of the UK cut from AAA down to AA+. And, of course, when you cut credit ratings, you increase interest rates. So, Presiding Officer, the outlook is not necessarily very good. But the real point about a debate of this kind is not the numbers, because we can trade them all day long, we can choose our own numbers, but do people outside here really understand what it means? What does £197 billion of new borrowing physically look like? Well, that works out at something over £5,000 per household in the UK. And that sounds quite a lot of money. What's £5,000 actually look like? Well, if you take a pound coin and you make a pile of pound coins, that £5,000 reaches the ceiling, or alternatively, it goes all the way across horizontally to my colleague Alec Ferguson. So it's a big lot of money. And people would know what it means if they saw it sitting there waiting to be spent. And this is only the increase in debt, not the actual amount of debt. And what's it compare with, that £5,000? Well, it's actually the increase in debt for every household is more than we pay a pensioner in state pension every year. One of the jobs we've got to do as politicians is to turn these abstract arguments into something that Joe Public can relate to, something physical, because £197 billion is just an awfully big number. It happens to have 12 digits in it, or if you want to put it in binary, it's 38 digits. And people who deal with big numbers get desensitised to them. 30 years ago, I was in the Bank of Scotland's London dealing room, where we settled up with the Bank of England at the end of the day by trading excess money to other banks who were short, or vice versa, in about a 30-minute period. And it was done with paper and pencil. I was there to see if we could automate it. And at the end of the day, when they added up the numbers, all the various corrections they'd made, the trades they'd done with the other banks, they found there were £56 million adrift in their numbers. And you know the very interesting thing? They said, it doesn't matter, and they went to the pub. Because when you deal with big numbers, you get desensitised to the numbers. And £197 billion, not in debt, but increase in debt, is a number so vast that none of us here have any conception of what that actually means. Now, Sam Goldwyn said once that prediction is a risky business, especially about the future. Well, the OBR have given new meaning to that with their flaky predictions, both of growth, they've been halved, and of borrowing, which is more than doubled. So when we rely on figures from a source such as the OBR, we rely on something which is a chimera, which is something which is provably of little worth at all. And in bringing this debate in the terms that they have, the Conservatives have given us insight into precisely how we cannot rely on the kind of numbers
you need to bring your remarks to a close, please.
Independent people. The OBR has not got the track record that we can rely on, and we must be careful to illustrate to people what it really looks like in bread and butter terms. Hopefully, my example will give you something to engage with your constituencies, dear colleagues.